Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. I think I have triple level of happiness. First, happy birthday to Singapore for the birthday, I have to say. Second, happy Eid. And finally, I'm very personally happy to be here again after 3 years. And I didn't know I lost my job. Still, I am Deputy Foreign Minister. But my presence here is not official. So I start usually by a joke to distance from the official line, because when you are in the official line or you are an ambassador, with due respect to all ambassadors, including Ambassador Ong, who was played a critical role in bringing me twice to Singapore. I think he knows my joke, but the joke is just for telling you that what I say today is my personal view and it's not the official one. And the joke is saying, do you know what's the difference between a camel, an ambassador, and a think tanker? We are all think tankers here. And the answer is, a camel can work and not drink for a month, and nothing will happen. In the deserts, this is the case. And an ambassador, of course, it's a joke, can drink for a month and not work, and nothing will happen. And all think tankers, professors, scholars, they can go to conferences in August, have papers, policy, advices, and nothing will happen. So this is the case. Now let me go to my main topic, that is, where are we headed? This is the question. But I think answering this question requires a much deeper level of what I call fast food analysis, going beyond the headlines and to see how we can understand the dynamism of the situation. And being a professor, I like conceptual frameworks, and I have developed a conceptual framework for answering this question, to understand dynamism. What shall we do? And studying in the United States, especially in August, I do remember AAA. AAA United States American Automobile Association. But I used that AAA for my conceptual framework, and I talk about analytical frame first, second about attitudinal frame, attitudes and how they relate to our frame, and third about actorship frame. These are AAAs that I use. And at the end, I have, of course, my prescription, again, AAA, which I discuss later. Now, why we are here today, as we see the situation, I think it needs a much deeper level of understanding. Iranian-US relationship cannot be understood just by Trump or what's going on in the Persian Gulf today, though these elements are parcels of a bigger picture. How to understand the Iranian-US relationship? At least 3 baskets of concepts are needed. First, I call them a structural basket. Past matters. This is number 1. Number 2 is place. You are talking about the Middle East, West Asia, a geopolitical landscape of so much significance. And third P is, of course, power. Iran is a genuine regional power, no doubt about it, and US is a global power. And I think this structural basket is so important in understanding dynamism of Iranian-US relationship. Past cannot be deleted. The second basket is more of human agency nature. That is, personalities matter, number 1. Second, people. This relationship is about people. Also, when sanctions are put on the ordinary Iranians are punished. For what? Because they have been abiding to JCPOA or other issues which relate to the people. But number three in the second basket is perception. This relationship is about perception. And I think perception is very important, is at the center of this whole picture. The third basket, where analytically we can understand the Iranian-US relationship, is where the structure and human agency really merge. And that is, number one, polity. Second is politics. US-Iran relationship is a matter of domestic politics in the United States. It's not just a matter of international relations. It is a matter of regional politics. It is not just about the foreign policy of one country to the other. And finally, it is about policies. Usually, US policy during the last 40 years have been hostile to Iran, and having a discussion and debate on policy levels on three lines of policy. One is containment, second is engagement, and finally is regime change. So when I put all these baskets, which require much more detailed discussion, today I see at the core of this analytical picture the President of the United States, Trump, and his team. The Bolton, Pompeo, and the gangs, different gangs who are helping them, and the players in the region have significant role. They are more important in this picture, and they have to be taken more seriously when you analyze. The push factor and pull factor among them is very important. And I think at the core of all this presidency and the team, what is important is the attitude. This is where I come to my second concept or frame, that is attitudinal frame. I think attitudes matter, assumptions matter, how you start matter about the others. Here, what you have is obviously maximum pressure. For what? Maximum pressure to bring Iran to the table. Iran was on the table because Iran signed JCPOA. Maximum pressure for what? I want to be a little discussing this issue from different angles. I think more important, the maximum pressure in this attitude is an argument that maybe the decision of Trump to withdraw from JCPOA may relate to the issue of race. There is a racial dimension. Maybe. Why? Because Obama signed it. And Obama was not the same color. And we know race matters today. We don't believe in races and their superiority, but some believe. So in that case, Iran or JCPOA is a victim of racial attitudes, domestic politics in the United States. Maximum pressure because somebody else signed this, and I have to change it. The second point is about this maximum pressure is based on a mechanical understanding of realities. I think it comes mostly from physics. In physics, when you add pressure, you can predict what will happen. But when you talk about human societies, it's of a different nature. You pressure, but you will see a different picture than what you expected. Look at the American invasion of Iraq. It was supposed to bring democracy to the region. Now they complain that Iranian influence in the region has been augmented because of the American invasion. Is it true or not? This is another matter, but we have law of unintended consequences. Maximum pressure has not changed Iranian position because the attitude that this policy is based upon is erroneous as wrong. Furthermore, I think that the attitude has another problematic, that is overestimating yourself. and underestimating the other side. It is a component of this policy which should be really discerned and discussed. You think you are omnipotent, and the other side, though in its asymmetrical power relationship maybe, but is not powerful or doesn't have any means. And I think this is also a fallacy in this whole attitude. So if you want to understand the Iranian-US relationship, you have to take into account the attitudes. And of course, the role of actors which have some connectivity with these attitudes. Now let me go to my third frame, that is about actorship. I think US-Iran relationship has so many actors in it. So it is a very crowded actorship. But three sets of actors are more important. First, I think, is the United States. I call it a confused actorship. A very confused and contradictory actorship. Suppose that you are an analyst in Tehran and you receive these different pronouncements, messages, framing of United States. Is United States for regime change in Iran? You see signs, yes? Of course, it's impossible because we don't depend on United States. It has been their wish, a strategic wish from the beginning of revolution. But is it a matter of machinery of policy implementation? Or is it for diplomacy, for negotiation? How you can be for diplomacy and negotiation and a deal, and then you sanction the foreign minister? Maybe the first time you see. So it's a contradiction, it's a confusion. It's not maximum pressure, maximum confusion, maximum contradiction. Is it the United States? Is it just, Trump? Now everybody is talking that Trump is not for war. For what? What is he for? I have the answer. Taking a picture with an Iranian official. It would satisfy him that he could bring an Iranian. This is a very, let's say, interesting discussion that why Foreign Minister Zarif was sanctioned. He was asked to come to the White House when he was in New York 3 weeks ago to have a talk with the president, read it, to have a picture with the president. And he was said, if you don't come, you will be sanctioned. So the confusion is for picture, for photo opportunity, for what? Is it also for the satisfaction of other players? So we are not talking about, let's say, a children fiction. We are talking about the strategic lines of thinking. And you see so much confusion, contradiction. As, of course, for us, it's clear that US is for dominance in the region, for hegemony, but this confusion on the political level is clearly there. Now you have a second type of actorship. I call them auxiliary actorship. What do I mean by auxiliary actorship? They want to use the United States auxiliary to their own goals. And they were mentioned here. Some of our Arab neighbors, including Saudi Arabia, they want the United States to fight their cause. Israel, the same. And what's their cause? To weaken Iran. To weaken Iran by, let's say, by the utility of the United States. And they have some impact. Some of them are financial actorship. Some of them are intelligence actorship. You have these type of actors in the scene. Let me go to the third actor, that is Iran, a defensive actorship. We are defending our land because we feel even not just the political system. We see the US policies. Mr. Bolton is a leverage there, is whatever he is for not just regime change. He is, as Pompeo said, smashing Iran. It means even attacking the territorial integrity of Iran. Is he for war or is not? But the intention is for not just weakening Iran, it goes beyond that. At least strategically, we have to think in that level. And this is why we defend. We defend with all means. Our land has been preserved not easily. Everybody knows that Iran is a historical ancient nation. But why we have survived and the others have not? Because we have been a staunch defender of our country and culture, and we remain so. And what we do today is absolutely 100% defensive. We negotiated for more than 2.5 years with 6 players, 5+1, within the United Nations frame of diplomacy. Did we do anything wrong? That we should be sanctioned. So if you are an Iranian, what would you read from this whole strategic picture? This is where I think the issue becomes very complicated, and when you are on the defensive, and Iran has been on the defense during the last 4 decades. Look at Iran-Iraq war. Who started the war? Who supported the war? The Iraqi side. And sanctions. Sanctions are against the people. I think sanctions, we know the sanctions, psychology of the sanctions. The US has an addiction to sanction, but there is enough literature on the sanctions that the US has pursued. So I think these frames that I provided may explain much better than the headlines mentality or fast food analysis that we hear and there. That is analytical frame of dynamism of this relationship. Second is the attitudinal problem or frame, and finally the actorship. So the dynamism has created the situation as it is today. What shall we do? And what is the remedy? Here I have again AAA, but not American Automobile Association. Very quickly. I'm actually very impressed that during August in a conference, that number of people are attending, because an American professor was asked, why did you choose to be a professor? He said 3 reasons. June, July, August, August, such number of people, I mean, it's so interesting. Now let me go again to August AAA. What's the solution? Number 1, assumptions should be changed. This is at the core of the issue. Assumptions that pressures, simplification, equating Iranian society with a couple of sentences or a statement, I think these are wrong. Iran is not a simple country. And no country is simple. You cannot assume a country with so much complexity with a couple of notions that you like to see. You know what is one of the craft of Iran is carpet, Iranian carpet. And this actually once I told the former Secretary General of the United Nations when he visited Iran, and he had a lecture for our student, and he was very simplistic on Iran. And I said, look, and of course he praised the Iranian carpets and poetry. I said, Mr. Secretary General, look, Iranian carpets are made of millions of knots. But at the end, they are very beautiful. So this is the reflection of a complex society which is highly proud of what it has achieved and its existence, its culture, its land and region and revolution and whatever you may call within the national frame. So assumptions need to be deconstructed and changed. Second A is acceptance must be the base. You have to accept Iran as it is. Can you ignore geography? You know, all this coalition or so-called grouping about the Persian Gulf, let's say escorting, whatever, all of them ignore that Iran has the northern part of the Persian Gulf. They don't want to accept that Iran is the most important player, coastal player in the Persian Gulf. Acceptance of Iranian revolution, acceptance of the Islamic Republic of Iran as a political system, acceptance of its legitimate security interests. I think this is at the core of the issue. And my final A is arrangements can be considered for the Persian Gulf security, I mean. How? First of all, bilateral. We have a good bilateral, excellent bilateral relationship with Oman. And the Strait of Hormuz is Iran and Oman. We have bilateral relationship with some of the other Persian Gulf Arab states. So bilaterals are very important. Our foreign minister was in Qatar yesterday. So bilaterals are key for not just reducing the tensions, but also managing more broader interactions. And I think there are other arrangements that is of multilateral nature. We can work on multilateral arrangements. Actually, on the bilateral, let me add one more, then go to multilateral. On bilateral, we have offered non-aggression pacts, not once, many times. And finally, I think on the multilateral, we have right now a multilateral frame authorized by Security Council of United Nations. That is Resolution 598, which ended the Iran-Iraq War 30 years ago. Its operative paragraph number 8 authorizes Secretary General to organize dialogue for regional interaction. So it's there. And let me refer to you that making the Persian Gulf military crowded is not contributing to peace and security of Singapore and Asia. The Persian Gulf was very secure when JCPOA was signed. American withdrawal of JCPOA is the source of insecurity and instability. So the solution is clear that multilateral frames can be used for, as we have it, like as I said, Resolution 598, operative paragraph number 8. Persian Gulf during the last 5 centuries have been the most internationalized, let's say, place on the earth. But this is, as a student of the field I'm reporting to you, international factors have not contributed to the security. Portuguese and Spanish forces 5 centuries ago fought together here in the Persian Gulf. They didn't contribute to the peace and security. They brought their rivalries here. British Empire, and we had other European, I don't want to go to history. We had British presence here. Now what you see, not just in the Persian Gulf, in the subcontinent, in Asia, you see the imprint of British imperialism negatively impacting daily lives. And you see the American presidents during the last few decades have created more wars. Look at the invasion of Iraq, invasion of Afghanistan. So this is our belief that we are able to secure the Persian Gulf by our own littoral states who are there, because our security, peace and security depends on the security of the Persian Gulf. So to sum up what I said, along with the joke that you would remember more about ambassadors and camels and think tankers, but I think I tried to answer one question, that how we can understand the dynamism today. And I said it is a deeper level needed, that is the analytical frame in which a structural basket, human agency basket, and where these two emerges are important, and that at the core of this is how the president and his team look at Iran. And then I came to the attitudinal factor frame and discussed a little bit on this issue, and showed to you, hopefully, that attitudes matter, and they have wrong attitudes. And finally, I discussed the actors, and may I say, don't take Iran and Iranian actorship lightly. Iran is a serious actor, as has proven during the last 4 decades, and its security is very central and pivotal to this actorship. And now what we can do, change the assumptions, correct the assumptions, accept realities as it is, or as they are, and arrangements can be looked bilaterally and multilaterally. So I think I acted as a professor who is not more interested in anything than concepts, and concepts can really give us a better picture of the realities. And I thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are a bit over time, but Dr. Kazem Sajjadpour has kindly agreed to take a few questions. Please, because we are over time, I don't want to cut into the coffee break, or I will be on a collision course with all of you. So make sure there are questions and not speeches. Tommy.
Dr. Kazem, thank you very much for a wise and humorous presentation. To quote Richard Armitage, President Trump has outsourced his Middle East policy to Saudi Arabia, and I would add to Israel. The crux of the matter is Iran's relations with Saudi Arabia and Israel. So my question to you is, do you acknowledge that both Saudi Arabia and Israel perceive Iran as posing an existential threat to them? And if you do, what can you do to allay their fears of you?
Okay, let me collect one more question. Mia? Please introduce yourself.
Hello, Meir Javedanfar from IDC Herzliya in Israel. Professor Sajjadpour, you talked about, and I appreciate that very much, about deconstructing assumptions. I'm not a fan of Mr. Trump at all. I think he made a mistake to walk out of the nuclear deal. But what do you say to those who say President Obama tried harder than any US president to reach out to the supreme leader of Iran? He wrote 3 letters, he reached the JCPOA, and soon after the deal we saw dual Iranians being kidnapped in Iran, and the number of unsafe incidents of the US Navy, the IRGC confronting the US Navy in 2016 in the first half was twice as 2015. This was after the Iran deal. Why did it become more unsafe for the US Navy in the Persian Gulf after the Iran nuclear deal during President Obama? Thank you.
Okay, maybe we take one more question, if there is one more question. Is there? Okay, then please. Huh? Oh, Julia, sorry, I didn't see you.
It's me again. My question is very short, maybe a little bit naive and a little bit too general. And I think you mentioned it in your speech, Dr. Sajjadpour, but I wanted you to probably repeat or maybe elaborate a little bit. How do you see America's end game and what's going on now, the maximum pressure against Iran? And is there any concrete plan in Iran what to do next? Thank you.
Please. Yeah.
I start by the final question, which reads more analytical answer. I think we are dealing with a dynamism. When I say dynamism, it means there are so many variables involved, so you don't know the end game. If it's an end game clearly from the beginning, so it would be a project, and I think the nature of human life, especially when you go to a very complex issue as it is today, is really very difficult to predict. But what I guess, especially when you said about plan, I think we know that we have to defend our land, our system. We feel we can do it. Let me assure you, by bringing you a very important fact, that Iran is the only actor in that region which is highly dependent on itself for its security. We don't borrow security. We don't import it. We don't pay for the others to provide us security, and that's a very important fact. When we saw that the drone is in the Iranian space, we didn't have any hesitation. And you know, strategically, it is very important. I mean, this incident is not just a single incident. It requires a strategic thinking. I think, requires the will to defend. So the plan is to defend our interests. And I think, furthermore, the pressures have given Iran a sense of cohesion, more cohesion than before. Now you see all factions, political factions, and I think even all Iranians, be inside and outside Iran, they have let's say, the same feeling, sharing the same, what Iran has done, that it should be sanctioned, is observing Resolution 2231, which was passed by United Nations and based on at least 15 reports of International Atomic Agency, has been observed by Iran. Should this observation be the base of sanctions? So we don't take it lightly. I think the cohesion that it has given to Iran is very important. Maybe one more footnote, and that is, even on the economic sanction, not trying to stop Iranian oil to be sold. Some argue that maybe it's a historical time to reduce our dependence on oil revenues and to look at, let's say, our own domestic resources. So it's a very transformative debate, I have to say, with different dimensions. I'm not a spokesman of Obama to answer any question about related to Obama, and I think this is also an erroneous narrative making to downplay JCPOA, and I think it is wrong, and I don't read it, let's say, simply. Now, on the existential threats of the others, I'm not the spokesman of the others to see whether they see an actor existential or not, but I know one fact. That these actors that you refer to, They have tried very hard to weaken Iran, but they have not been able to do so. Today, Iran is much stronger than any so-called American ally in the region, and I think the plan was to weaken Iran, but the outcome is a stronger Iran. Thank you.
Thank you. Join me in thanking Dr. Sajjadpour.